Welcome to Dead Genre Chronicles, a critical podcast on the diversity of JRPGs. Drawing from the origin of the genre to the present day, every month we play through a JRPG and we invite you to play along and send us your questions and thoughts on it. I'm your host, Devin, and with me I have my two co-hosts, Becky and Leroy.
Hi.
Hi.
This episode we're going to be taking a look at Kingdom Hearts 2, which is a now decade-old game that was the anchor point for 5 more games in the franchise, one of which is a browser game. So, a very varied,
that thing.
A very varied spawn point. So, how do we want to start this off?
Diplomatically, I think.
No, that's next month.
I like how we've come up with more good jokes about next month's episode in the last 10 minutes than we have in the entire previous month.
Yeah.
So I think we all had quite different experiences with this game. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Because, Devin, you've played
Probably.
it several times and you really liked it.
Yeah. And
I've played it.
I was going to play through it on the hardest difficulty, but then other stuff came up this month and it didn't work out. So I'm just running on memory of my 3 playthroughs in the last year to go on this. So, and Becky had less than a charitable experience.
Well, didn't you get basically bored of playing it on the hardest difficulty because it wasn't hard enough?
No. I got bored of playing it on normal difficulty because it wasn't hard enough. The hardest difficulty was providing adequate challenge. I just
Fair enough.
didn't want to, I would have had to jam a lot of time into it, and I needed to do other stuff, so.
Yeah. I really had a bad time.
You finished it so fast, but you had a bad time.
Yeah, I had time at the start of this month where I had a lot of time to play a video game, and because I wasn't
yes, that makes
streaming
sense.
it, I could just play it whenever, which helped. But particularly towards the end, and also immediately after playing it, I tried Birth by Sleep, and that was a bad call.
Yeah, Birth by Sleep unlearns the precise techniques you were employing of mashing X to make it through Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, I mean, by the end I wasn't just mashing X, sometimes I was mashing triangle. But I still don't really understand why I was doing which whenever I was. And I could dunk on this for hours. Fundamentally, Kingdom Hearts combat is not for me, and even at times, basically gives me panic attacks. So I have decided I'm not going to play any more Kingdom Hearts games. I'm still interested in lots of other things about the games, but actually, the real essence of why I didn't get on with Kingdom Hearts 2 is that I felt, relative to the other Kingdom Hearts games I've played and tried and looked at, it was the least interesting thematically. We'll come on to that. Leroy, how did you get on with it?
I found it relaxing, at least when I was exploring and playing through the core of the game, but also it's fun to play. I enjoyed my time playing, but I'd finished my sessions, come out of it with pretty much nothing. I don't know, it was just it kind of plays itself the way the systems work. So I'm just hitting X and things are happening.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really feel like the Disney stuff at all. Even it was parallel to the other themes. They didn't come together. So most of the time I spent playing the game, I was bored and I wasn't thinking a lot. And those are things I don't like doing when playing RPG.
I mean, I possibly was thinking too much about the Disney stuff, but it's always been the case with Kingdom Hearts that the Disney stuff interests me far less than the Final Fantasy and Tetsuya Nomura stuff. But I really felt that with this game, that the Disney stuff, because the first game I hadn't seen any of the Disney films involved, so at least I was vaguely getting a sense of new plot. But in this game, I have seen some of the films, and that made it worse. I thought in the first game, maybe I wasn't getting much out of it because I didn't know the properties, but the ones that I knew, the Pirates of the Caribbean and Mulan, the Kingdom Hearts versions of those stories didn't do anything for me. So that was a bit alienating.
They're honestly cowardly. They're remediations of the Disney movies, but they're so afraid of infringing on the Disney movies that they become even lesser versions of the movies in the first place. They follow the same plot, but they just go as fast as possible and add Heartless to it.
To a certain extent. I mean, it's a bit varied, and some of the less kind of identifiably product placement-y ones are quite good. Like, Timeless River's a pretty interesting place in some ways,
Timeless
although
River was
I cannot stand the
fine.
music.
My favorite was the Tron one.
Space
The
Paranoids
Tron
is
one's
good.
good.
Space
Yeah,
Paranoids is actually good.
But, like, on the other hand, there's Atlantica and the 100 Acre Wood.
Neither of which you need to do, so...
You don't need to do either of them, unless you want to do, like, completing the puzzle pieces, which was the only part of this game that really grabbed me. So I did complete both those levels.
What are the puzzle pieces? Are those just from his journal?
The Final Mix edition.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Sorry.
I didn't encounter that.
Yeah, Leroy
Yes.
did not play Final Mix, which is the good version, because he didn't grab the English patch version when he was emulating it. Ugh.
I didn't know.
But yeah, I mean, the puzzle pieces are clearly a kind of... This is the kind of thing you add into a game to make it for its special edition. And because they were called puzzle pieces, I immediately thought of Banjo-Kazooie and went absolutely ham on them. Because I am a tiresome and predictable gamer when I am sometimes. But you do have to unlock every area in the game to get all the puzzle pieces. So I did. And that did mean playing through the entirety of Atlantica, which, oh god, why?
I was going to say there are a lot of odd decisions, but actually, when I was going to say that, I was going to say the gummy ships, but I'm actually wrong. I actually like the gummy ships this time, unlike the first game.
Yeah, I like them too.
But I will also add, I don't feel like they actually have any game design in them. It just feels like really arbitrary. The ships appear, they just kind of pop up. And
well, that's because you're only doing the mandatory missions. Like, there's a whole other game mode that you're not touching on.
That's true. I didn't play the higher level versions, but at the base level, it was like.
And I've got to say that the gummy ship missions in this, I could tell what I was doing more. Like, yeah. I wasn't just kind of mashing a button and vaguely wiggling a stick around. I just, like, some things required different strategies, even in the basic missions. And I felt that I got better at that over time. And more generally, in defense of the game systems, it's got to be said, if you watch a speedrun, every little quirk of every system gets exploited. The speedrun of this is incredible for what it shows about what the different mechanics do, but I found it all so baffling and so hard to get to grips with that all I really did was mash X and occasionally use a drive form and then level all my drive forms to get the movement abilities because those were the part that I enjoyed. You know, I freely admit I wasn't getting the most out of the game that a player who was more amenable to it would have. And maybe, like, Devin, you were playing on Critical and you played this a lot. You probably know your way around the systems a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I particularly... I've taken on some of the super bosses and gotten near to victory once or twice, and it's really well put together if you can handle all the parts that the game is giving you, but if you can't, it's just kind of a jumble of parts that you can't really gel with, so... Yeah.
Playing it with an occasionally glitchy pad as well, particularly...
probably
like,
didn't help.
Well, it probably didn't help, but honestly... It's the D-pad on my DS3 that is glitchy. So occasionally the menu randomly selected things and I found features. Not that I was necessarily able to find them again or use them effectively, but I did see them. But that kind of packs a lot of my experience of the mechanics of playing the game in. It's just like, I understand the basics. And it does feel crisper and more precise than the first game did. I mean, I found the way in which the first game didn't feel crisp and precise interesting, but and in some ways I think the shift serves what this game is doing. It is more precise though, and we talked a bit in prep for this episode about the lineage of the Square action RPG that comes from Kingdom Hearts and is leading towards FF15. Because earlier this year I played Final Fantasy Type 0 on the PS4 HD version, and I enjoyed that a lot, but Type 0 is a much simpler game in terms of the amount of stuff on screen that you have to pay attention to, and it's got all the same overcomplicated systems, but in Type 0 they cost too much to use. Like, there's never a reason for them to be a viable strategy, so you just go through mashing your basic attack. I found one place where one of the special attacks was useful, but that simplification made it a lot easier for me to get to grips with, and FF15 is going to be interesting because it's simple, I think, still, but it doesn't have the massive, like, shiny press X now prompts that were a constant feature of Type 0. Like, Kingdom Hearts, I find just everything that's on screen in Kingdom Hearts difficult to read.
I mean, I would agree with you, but when it came down to it, I didn't try to read anything because I could just press X and win. The only things I needed to keep track of was my health and pressing X.
Do you find that's true of the bosses as well as the regular
No,
combat?
that's not true. That's just the regular combat. The regular combat, I was barely even paying attention, but you're right. The bosses require
Because, and it's
that was in the first
sorry.
Kingdom Hearts 2. I was just gonna say that's in the first Kingdom Hearts 2, where you need to be watching what your party members are doing, how much life they have, how much life you have. And Kingdom Hearts 2 adds you need to watch how much drive you have, and you need to watch your action commands while you're playing. And you need to watch all those things to effectively fight a boss.
Yeah, but I mean Kingdom Hearts is, for all it's very much an action end of the JRPG. It is a JRPG in some respect, and having combat that is there to pace that out, particularly with Square RPGs, most of the combat in most Square RPGs is trivial. So it's much more there to fill out areas and I don't want to say delay you. That's selling it short, but it slows the pacing, and then the bosses are the punctuation of that, and that structure is definitely still there with Kingdom Hearts.
I mean, I really felt the core of the game was only the bosses. I don't know. The first Kingdom Hearts had times where, well, it's just a little bit. There was just stuff did more damage, so you would feel tension at different parts of the game. But Kingdom Hearts 2, it was really dull until you fought a boss, and that was probably just because they want you to play on critical or proud or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So it's just more accessible now to play on normal mode.
Even with the bosses, like there are two distinct kinds of boss encounter in Kingdom Hearts, I feel, which is one are where you're fighting some big monster and it'll be very set piecey. And then there are the duels where you're fighting usually Riku. More often than any other character it's Riku or it's a member of Organization 13.
Oh, no, it's usually it's usually Org 13.
It's usually Org 13 in Kingdom Hearts 2. But if you average out across the whole franchise, it's like half of those encounters are Riku, it seems. But like that kind of, I think those are where the system really comes alive, because it requires so much more precision to spot, well, that animation means I need to do this, and you have a very small window to respond, and if you can master it, it feels great. And I feel like in Chain of Memories, or in Rechain of Memories, the remade version, I kind of got it up until the point where I realised I'd been neglecting a mechanic that was critical to finishing the game, but I felt like I kind of got it. But in KH2, and particularly in Birth by Sleep, I didn't. I couldn't do it at all. I think because they go heavier on the teleporting mechanic, it seems to me like more of the bosses in KH2 have the ability to teleport a lot than in the earlier games.
Yeah. The reason I didn't really enjoy the duels or the big boss fights is because it really came down to the triangle prompts. You just kind of have to wait until you are able to do this thing mandated by the game. So I don't really feel like I have agency. I'm reacting, but I'm not reacting in a way that I'm parrying or anything like that. I'm just reacting to when I can do the quick time event.
Yeah,
it's only like that like half the time, but like there's so many bosses and so many of them where like you need to wait until you can hit triangle.
Yeah, I guess when it comes to difficulty, you're coming from a very different body of experience to me, because I'm coming from square RPGs and turn-based stuff that there's very little challenge in at all. Like, I've been playing Enchanted Arms this month, and there's 4 hard encounters in that game total in 35 hours, whereas you wrote a piece month before last about not Grandia.
Oh, Gradius 3.
Gradius. I was close.
Gradius.
I got the first 3 letters right. And like impossibly hard games. So like your perspective on the difficulty is very, very different to mine. I have enough trouble like hitting triangle and working out what the next button prompt is going to be.
I died one time, and and I didn't really die because Mickey came and saved me, which was the most inexplicable thing.
Oh my god! I hate you so much. I hate you so much.
It was against the Dragoon Organization 13, and I kept hitting him. I was just trying to hit him. I didn't figure out that I wasn't actually able to hit him. It just damaged me every time.
Yeah, and that was probably of the Organization 13 fights in this game. That was probably the one I liked most because I figured out the jump mechanic, and it was like, oh, I'll just do that.
Well, that was actually the one I liked the least because it was so inactive.
Yeah,
it was the exact problem I was describing.
The one I died on most was Roxas, who is I think is a Final Mix exclusive, and again, very much a HD edition because
it's
why
not
is Roxas
just HD,
there?
it's Final Mix.
Yes.
Sora and Roxas fight in the original, but you don't actually get to do
it's a cutscene.
Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay, that's really weird. Like I thought, why is Roxas there? Let's start getting into some lore because I don't understand the lore.
I don't remember the first Kingdom Hearts, but what I liked about Kingdom Hearts 2 was like the first 5 hours and the last 5 hours, like the bookends that are Nomura that aren't Disney. Like those are actually like not even like I really liked those. Those were like amazing. If the whole game was stuff like that, it would be one of my favorite games. But yeah, I have to slog through all the Disney.
The ending, the last, like the closing cutscenes were spectacularly good.
The conversation between what are their names?
Sora and
Xenohort,
Xehanort.
and Ansem. Xehanort and Ansem. The conversation they have about Ansem goes on like a Socrates. All I know is that I know nothing, like long speech. But Xehanort's like, that's just because you haven't been trying hard enough or whatever. But I like that speech they had. It was like explicitly philosophical in Kingdom Hearts.
I like the bit that I really liked with the ending was where it started paying off all the stuff from Kingdom Hearts 1 with Sora and Riku.
Yeah, of course, that was amazing.
I was gonna bring up that like I came to Kingdom Hearts like really late. Like I didn't get a PS2 until I was like out of school. Like it was 2013 when I first got my PS2, and I had never played anything besides like Chain of Memories on an emulator. I was just like, okay, this is not a very good game. I'm probably not into Kingdom Hearts. Then I actually got a chance to play Kingdom Hearts 1, and then I played 2. And before that, it was weird because everyone I had talked to or heard talking about Kingdom Hearts always like mythologized fucking Riku and Sora and Riku teaming up to work together. And I'd never realized that like it happened at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. Like it always
right at the end.
Yeah, like the last world. And it's like why doesn't anyone say that? Like that would be cool to know because they sounded like, oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 is when they're really going to work together. But
well, that remains to be seen, I think. But yeah, so I guess like something we talked about when we did the Kingdom Hearts 1 episode was the idea that it's kind of about the start of adolescence, where it's these two characters realizing that they maybe don't know each other quite as well as they think they do, or there's a side to each other that they haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets them off on these diverging paths. And for a while they don't understand each other, and there's a tension and a friction between them, and the first game ends with Riku, like as Riku is stepping through the door and being closed off, and he turns to Sora and says, oh, look after her for me, or take care of her for me, in reference to Kairi. And you see, okay, they are still friends and they still have this connection, but they have to walk these different paths. And then you have Chain of Memories is basically an extended metaphor for them walking their different paths. And then those paths converge at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. And that I found really satisfying, well told, and it leads to the conversation on the beach at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, which I won't go into too much detail on, but it's wonderful. And I felt that arc that the games describe is a great thing, and I'm very glad it exists. But I felt that a lot of Kingdom Hearts 2 wasn't in service to it at all. Like the the Disney bits,
Well,
basically.
it wasn't. It also wasn't really about Riku until the end. Like it kind of was, but like all the themes reflect back on Roxas, who isn't even really a character.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really puzzles me with this is that we already in Kingdom Hearts 1 had this idea of duality, of everybody has it, or people who lose their hearts become heartless, and there's some sort of relationship between human beings and Heartless, and particularly between Sora and Sora's Heartless, towards the end when you get to Hollow Bastion. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 introduces this whole other duality of now everybody, like, there are these characters, and some of them have Heartless, and some of them also have nobodies. Or some of them are the nobodies of other people. And I'm aware that this is a rabbit hole, because I've played enough Birth by Sleep to recognise that there's a lot more going on. But why are there two of everybody?
Well, there's no good reason there's no good answer to that. It seems like shonen logic where it's so like these characters have these defined powers, but now we want to add more new defined powers and a new dimension, and so now we have
it's
nobodies.
like in Bleach where they introduced those people that had the skulls and stuff.
I've never watched Bleach, but probably
Yes, you're thinking of the Arrancar.
That's the one. I couldn't remember. All I could think of was Hollow, and I'm sure that's not it.
They are part hollow. That's the enemy the
right.
Soul Society faces. I know this because I watched 3 episodes of Bleach, and my dad watched and read the entire fucking thing.
I, for a while, because all my friends were doing it, read a lot of Bleach manga, and I got up to the Arrancar arc, and it was just the Soul Society arc again, but everybody was half skull, and I gave up.
So when Yen Sid gives you probably the worst exposition dump I've ever gotten in a RPG, the nobody's introduced, and I was laughing because it just seemed inexplicable and pointless. But
see, I was laughing during that because of Yen Sid's eyebrows.
I mean, Yen Sid is funny as well.
Yen Sid's great. Like, more Yen Sid, please.
Don't worry.
He's so serious.
He shows up in Dream Drop Distance, which is another extended metaphor for Sora and Riku walking the same path, but on different sides, because you have to swap between them to progress through different stories going through the same worlds. Hooray.
That's probably the most balanced the game's ever been between... The franchise has ever been between these two characters, though, because Kingdom Hearts is mostly Sora, but you get plenty of glimpses of Riku, and it's okay, you can feel their relationship through it all. And Chain of Memories, like, it's 2 games back to back, one each. Which
is very, like, early 2000s thing, or, like, 2000s thing, because... And I say that, but Zillia does that, but I was more thinking of Monokemia 2, which is like a 40-hour game, but they expect you to play it twice. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, like, Zillia does it, but Zillia does it in a quite half-hearted way.
Yeah, they really didn't want to make Mila the protagonist. Which is
it's a shame. But, like, Chain of Memories at least has that kind of balance between them, and then in Kingdom Hearts 2, I missed Riku for a big chunk of the game. It's like, where is he? And he's in one of the Disney worlds for a bit.
Well, he's going around with a different person's face on.
Yes.
Also inexplicably.
Well, they do explain it. Like
I know. But all I'm gonna say is like it was very little stress on Riku for him to turn back to normal. So then I'm sitting here like, why was this a plot line at all?
I think
you only know of it for a short amount of time, and it resolves in a very short amount of time relative to the player watching it all unfold, not to Riku himself. But as for my experience, I'm just like, why did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's partly because, or maybe this is a retcon, I'm not sure. Birth by Sleep was the later game, but in Birth by Sleep, you learn that some other characters in Kingdom Hearts 2, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, some of the other characters in Kingdom Hearts 2 are also in a condition similar to Riku's, where they're actually somebody else who's been transformed into the wrong face or something.
It's like reincarnation.
I think you're
Birth by Sleep.
I think you're thinking of Days. Have you watched the? I forget if you watched the Days cutscene collection.
I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I've watched like the first third of it or something.
You should have gone back and done that this entire month that you've spent being done with the game. Come on.
But like, I had other games to play. I probably should have, and I did mean to, but also it's been a crazy month.
The reason I bring that up is a character that gets introduced only for that game, who is part of Kairi's heart remaining in Sora's that turned into her own nobody, I guess.
Wait, so Namine is not the only one. There's another one.
Actually, no, I lied. She took on the appearance of kind of a Kairi lookalike. Her name is Shion.
Okay.
And
right. I did meet Shion.
Yeah. Basically, Roxas he looks like Ventus because Ventus has his heart in Sora, and Sora is Shion. That's his nobody.
What?
Keep going. Remember that time that I tweeted like fucking Sora is a 3 deep phylactery? Like, he has 3 different people's souls in him. He has himself, he has a bit of Kairi and, like, Ventus, and that made Roxas. But basically, the final boss is a Sora that has, like, she spent the entire game kind of looking like Kairi, but it's Sora's nobody, and Roxas has to fight her. And it's really silly, but also, like...
So wait, Roxas isn't Sora's nobody, or he's also Sora's nobody?
Also, because Ventus has...
Oh, okay.
Ventus lent Sora part of his heart. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Birth by Sleep is wild.
No kidding. I mean, it starts off and it's just Star Wars. It's like quibbling among Jedi, and then there's this absurd collection of lore that relates this to the rest of the games. I like a lot about Birth by Sleep. I just can't play it at all. The menus give me massive choice paralysis, and the boss fights are impenetrable unless you can wrap your head around the menus.
That is like, for how accessible and simple Kingdom Hearts is, I still find it very weird that it requires you to be able to control your character and move on the menu. Like, Dark Souls doesn't even make you do that necessarily. You don't need to navigate a menu while you fight. But in Kingdom Hearts, I found myself often navigating a menu while I was playing. And I still, whenever I do that, I'm just like, why is this in the game? This is really unintuitive.
You heard it here, folks, but first, folks, DGC confirms Kingdom Hearts harder than Dark Souls.
And I'm excommunicating my 2 co-hosts this week for mentioning Dark Souls in a fucking Kingdom Hearts 2 episode.
It's Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like Dark Souls.
I hate you. God.
Truly, it's the Dark Souls of something or other. I know without a doubt that Kingdom Hearts is Dark Souls. I'm sorry, I genuinely regret that one, but also I really can't wait for people to listen to this cast now. If you're listening, please now tweet me your best outraged tweet, because I deserve it, but also I couldn't resist.
I lost whatever I was saying.
We were talking about the use of the menu as an interface element.
Yeah,
which is
it's
like
not good.
It's
so let me again. So you have the quick cast menu, which is a different menu for some reason. But you can only put. You have a lot of spells, and they're not always useful, but they're kind of always useful at the same time. So let's say I don't have Reflect on my quick menu. If I want to cast Reflect, I have to go down to the menu and press Reflect every single time I want to cast Reflect. And only Reflect in Kingdom Hearts 2 just kind of pops up and dissipates. So you have to constantly cast it if you want to constantly reflect. And so it basically has to be on your quick cast bar if you want to use it like that. And so what I ended up doing is I took Cure off my quick cast bar because it costs all my mana. But I wish like the menus would work with me instead of work against me. And like if I need a drive or summon, I'd get confused which menu I'm on. And I'm just like go back and forth. What?
Yeah, but
this is while I'm moving around and dodging too.
Yeah, it really doesn't help that the basic menu has 2 forms, and you go left and right between them.
Right.
But like the fact that there is a menu in the bottom left of the screen during combat in this game is such a testament to how old Kingdom Hearts is now. Like, and the games that it is close to in Squaresoft's repertoire, because like it's there, I think, because that's how Squaresoft knew how to put combat choices in the JRPG back in, when did the first one come out? 2001?
2002.
Yeah.
We're I was just...
Sorry.
You can finish. Mine's dumb.
Well, I was just going to say, like, 2002 is barely FF10. Like, it's still very much the legacy of the PS1 Final Fantasies, I think.
I know an obvious solution would be to have it to pause, right, when you're navigating the menu. But since it's so obvious, I know that's exactly not what the Kingdom Hearts team wanted to do. But
the thing is, FF12 does that, and as a result, it feels completely. I mean, it's not the only difference, but it feels completely and utterly different to Kingdom Hearts, despite being in some other respects
contemporaries.
Well, not necessarily contemporaries, because that's a big 4-year gap.
Kingdom Hearts 2, though.
Yeah, I suppose. But also, like, FF12, like Kingdom Hearts, is a single-scale game. The enemies are wandering around the areas and you run into them. You know, in some ways it's got the same continuous style of play, but it feels completely different because when you open the menu, by default, the game pauses. And there is a mode where it doesn't, but like that's scary. That's for speedrunners and massive nerds.
Yeah, it's me, the massive nerd.
Yeah, I don't even play like old Final Fantasy games on active. I just gotta wait because I just.
Oh, I play on active. Final Fantasy V is
fuck.
Final Fantasy V is a completely different game on active. Also, it's really hard.
Well, you seem to like that, so good luck with it.
No, what I end up doing is though I just pause and I have to think because I can't actually do it in real time.
Well, I mean, like when you get around to playing FF12, it will probably be on the IZGS HD remake that we'll get in like 2025, and that will have a 10 times speed function to make it even harder, and then you really have to pause and think about stuff. But it will then be possible to beat Yasmat in 10 minutes, so...
10 times speed, isn't that just for grinding? Or fighting Yasmat?
International Zodiac System Edition can beat Yasmat in 7 minutes. Get fucked.
It took me 16 hours!
7 minutes.
I don't want to fight. I'm not going to fight any super bosses in 12. That's even the point.
Order of Ambrosia now, damn it.
It's like, do you want to raid by yourself? I guess that's what FF12 is.
Kind of. I mean, I love that game to pieces, but I cannot recommend people play it. I just want people. I want them to make a HD version of the original just for me because I'm the only person who will care.
FF12's graphics are like the first Xenoblade, where they're just really grainy.
They look really grainy now. I mean, like on CRT they don't look so bad, but yeah, they don't. They need to do a HD if they're going to scale it up.
Yeah. Also, Chaban would agree with you on the fact that Final Fantasy XII's original is better. So
it's not better. I love it more, but it's not better.
Well,
like
that's what he says. So
yeah, but he's very very wrong about that game. He's the only person I know who likes that game who I would actively say is wrong about it. Hi, Japan. Sorry.
Wow, called out.
I don't even know what his opinion is, but that's still funny.
Like, probably nobody is ever going to agree with me specifically about FF12 because my opinion of it is completely off the wall. But I stand by it all the same.
I've seen you get in arguments with at least 3 people about Vaughn, and every time I'm just like, yes!
Vaughn's so good, I love him so much.
Well,
okay, we're off track.
We are quite off track.
What track
that
were
was
we
because
on?
we
were on the flying train track, remember?
We're getting launched off because this is a train wreck off a fucking ramp into a river of fucking lava. Oh my god.
We were talking about FF12 because we were making the comparison between a continuous scale Final Fantasy game and Kingdom Hearts being continuous scale. And the role of the
Star
menu
Ocean 5 has done for the first time ever.
God,
fuck you!
That's
fuck
worse
off!
than the Dark Souls thing.
I'm glad Star Ocean 5 has saved the JRPG.
Okay, get in the sea, Leroy.
Well, this podcast is now about integrity and faithlessness. I have no faith in Leroy, so I'm kicking him because I have integrity.
I mean, I deserve that because I've made at least 2 Leroy Jenkins jokes at you this month. But leave poor Devin out of this.
Those are mentally blocked. I don't even remember them anymore.
God.
Shall I start talking about why I don't like Kingdom Hearts again? Would that get us back on track?
Yeah, sure.
Probably.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is pretty fun, though. For real, I think.
It's certainly bits of it are. And, I still like the cinematics. I think Kingdom Hearts does more with its cinematics than most JRPGs ever do. Even if in this game, the intro is really just a kind of summary of what's happened.
Wait. Simple and Clean or My Sanctuary? That's
Sanctuary.
a important question. Yeah, Devin's right.
Sorry, what? You lost me.
Oh, did you not hear me?
Yeah.
I said Simple and Clean or My Sanctuary for intro songs. Which one's better?
Yeah, I prefer Sanctuary to listen to, but actually no, the Dream Drop Distance version of Simple and Clean, which has no vocals and is orchestral.
It's called Hikari because it means light. That's the name of the intro song. It's light. Kingdom Hearts is light.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. I like that. But,
sorry, you can go back to talking about the intro.
Yeah, it's particularly the opening movie of the original Kingdom Hearts is this incredible kind of impressionistic thing. It's not, I've used the word dreamlike carelessly before, and it's not dreamlike, but it kind of hints at a dreaminess that I really like and kind of foreshadows things. With this game, what you get is an incredibly stylish summary of Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories, but it's still really well composed, and it leads into a really interesting opening section.
I think Dreamlike still works. It's just unsolid. It's not all connected. But I mean, that's just because it's a montage. But it's still, it still kind of feels like that.
But I mean, Kingdom Hearts 2 is a much more tangible game than Kingdom Hearts 1. I think that's a decent word to use.
Unless you're at the very intro of the game.
I kind of feel like even there it is, because the first thing that happens when you start Kingdom Hearts 2, when you're actually in control of the character, is that you find that you're part of the world rather than being an exception to it. All through Kingdom Hearts 1 are these spaces that basically exist purely for Sora, and then you appear in Twilight Town as Roxas at the start of KH2, and you're accused of a crime, and you're answerable to the shopkeepers, the NPCs. And then on day 2, before you can go on an adventure to the beach, you have to earn money.
Yeah, you have to follow the rules of the world and the society in the world. You can't just excuse yourself because you're the protagonist.
Yeah, which is a great way of bringing out kind of Roxas' relationship to Sora, in that Roxas is kind of the Kingdom Heartsy lore-y part of Sora, as opposed to the video game protagonist part of Sora.
I kind of really hone in though on the macro consequence of that place, where this is revealed later, where it doesn't even exist, and the whole time Roxas is there, he's essentially being gaslit, where he sees the margins of the Matrix, but then someone says, "Nah, that didn't happen."
He just witnesses 7 kinds of deja vu, and they're just like, "Oh, it's a ball coming out of this alley. Were you throwing it, Roxas?" Or that's a spooky reflection in the waterfall. God.
That's just inseparable, though, for being Roxas actually living out this life, even if it's orchestrated by another.
Yeah, that is a bit of a contrast to the first game, where clearly the thing that mattered was the experiences of the characters that the game focuses on. But kind of also, I can see why they would want to say, well, Roxas' experiences don't matter because he's not really a person. It's gross that they would go that way, but I can see why that might be part of the concept. I do think that... Sorry, go on.
Well, I just don't think it's that... they want you to empathize with Roxas, it's not that he's not really a person, but that he doesn't have a conception of self, at least, is my take on it. It's not as... Because, okay, this is assuming stuff with the lore, but I got the impression Roxas chose to be part of Sora. Roxas could have stayed individual, despite tons of people are manipulating him, but he had the final say. So Roxas could have been a person, and
Yeah.
he is a person in Sora. So it's not that he's just not really a person; it's that he chose to. He kind of chose to give himself up for some kind of conception of greater good.
Yeah, and the fight with Roxas is the fight with Roxas either in cutscene or boss fight form in The World That Never Was, which is A, one of the coolest levels in the game, and B, a really good level title. Like,
The World That Never Was is one of the coolest levels in video games, honestly.
yeah, like everything in that world is based on like nothing and nowhere. Like the bridge to nowhere is just the bridge to the castle where all the nobodies are coming from. And this entire world wasn't supposed to exist, but it does, just like the nobodies, and just like all the designs are really cool too. But the Roxas fight is Roxas reaffirming Sora's intentions and strength in the particular setting. I know Becky was asking why that battle happened. That was the setting where Riku beat the crap out of Roxas and took him away from Organization 13.
Right, okay. So then Roxas basically is kind of testing Sora to check that Sora is still worth being a part of?
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much.
Right, okay. That I can see why that makes sense, and I can also see in that case why that is at that particular point in the story, like as a gateway to the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the fight with Jude and Mila in Xillia 2, I feel like, did that kind of well in a similar vein.
Oh god. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know, but it's my favorite thing because they use their mystic arts on you, and they just fucking call you out instead of doing their normal mystic art incantations. They're just like, fucking, what are you doing? Why aren't you going to help her, you idiot? Fuck! And it's just like, wow, okay, I'll go. It's really good.
So anyway, to bring it back round to Roxas then. So we have this idea that Roxas is a necessary part of Sora, and Sora to some extent has to earn that, I guess, or at least to respect that commitment. Like he's held accountable for it, which I guess is good, and it's good to have it there because as you go into the castle, that's where the whole Riku thing starts to come back together. I forget how early in the castle it is you meet Riku, but it's fairly early on that you actually catch up to him. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think it's like one boss.
It's like half. Oh, it's not like half. It's like 2/5.
Yeah, it's like 40% of the way through the thing, and there he's rescued Kairi also, and you encounter her for the first time in the entire game, and like since you were kind of chasing after both of them for most of the game, I guess you encounter Kairi when she gives you the Oathkeeper in Hall of Ashen, right? Oh man, it's been a while.
Do you?
I know you get the Oathkeeper
in Twilight Town.
Oh
when
yeah,
you get it from like.
That's right.
Yeah, you don't actually encounter Kairi. She gives it to Roxas's friends, and they give it to you.
And
you get Oblivion. You get Oblivion there, and at the end, the world never was. I mean.
Yeah. And so you get both halves of... Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you finally meet up with Kairi after basically chasing after her for half the game and trying to find Riku for half the game. And you finally
I kind of feel that, like, from the perspective of what most of the writing is about, most of the writing is about Sora trying to reunite with Kairi through this game.
Yep.
It certainly feels like... I actually made a list of all the Disney worlds, and, by my count, there are, 12 worlds, 7 or 8 of them specifically end with a note of, the Disney characters are going to have their romance now, and Sora is going to realise this and feel sad that he hasn't found Kairi yet.
Yeah, that happens, every time.
It was a bit grating because Disney romance is...
grating.
Not it's grating to start with, and Kairi doesn't have a lot of agency in this game. Like, she goes to the Isles of Destiny and gets kidnapped, and that's about it for most of the length of the game.
It's not even ironic that she's a Disney princess because she's treated just like one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the end of Halloween Town draws an explicit comparison between Sally and Kairi, where Sally's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what gift you give me, Jack, as long as it's from you, it'll be fine." And Goofy goes, "Oh, hey, Sora, don't be sad. I bet Kairi's exactly the same." And it's like
such a bad moral.
It's a really bad moral, and it summarizes kind of Kairi's presence in Kingdom Hearts to a painful degree. Like, I want to like Kairi, but she doesn't do very much.
But what I was referencing is the password to the door to darkness, which is not actually a door, but it's a computer circuit. Wait, no, it's just a computer. And anyways, the password is all the Disney princesses and Kairi. And I was like, oh okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a big thing at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, isn't it? Because the princesses of Heart, and they have to all be gathered together to do whatever it was someone was trying to do at the end of Kingdom Hearts.
It was opening the door to darkness.
That's right, yeah. And I really didn't care about that, because it was just like, what is this going to mean for Sora and Riku?
Doesn't mean anything.
Well, no, I mean, it gives them the opportunity to have that moment of reconnection. And I think the first game does a really good job of, okay, very few characters in the game actually have broad-scale narrative agency, but that's because the game is about Sora and Riku, who are the two characters who have the most narrative agency. Whereas KH2, because it spent so much time focusing on romance and Sora and Kairi, lets that down a little bit. Like, if there had been more Riku to prop up Sora, it would have been fine, but it feels a little bit empty.
I wonder if they're avoiding, like, the search for Riku, because that's what Sora was fixated on in the first game. And they're like, well, now that Sora's more mature, what's he fixated on now?
Yeah, he had 1 year to grow up, and suddenly...
1 year!
Well, I mean, like, the first game, like I said, kind of about the start of adolescence. Clearly this game is interested in what it means to be into adolescence, but one of the main things it's worked out to say about adolescence is that boys start having feelings about girls, and it doesn't really have anything interesting to say about those feelings. It's just going to make Sora feel them. That was where it really let me down relative to the first game. Like, I was excited to play Kingdom Hearts 2 because the first game had such interesting themes about friendship and particularly male friendship, and Kingdom Hearts 2 only goes into that right towards the end. And when it does, it's fantastic. But the stuff that focuses more on kind of romance feels very Disney. Or felt very Disney to me. Your mileage may vary, of course.
Yeah, it was. It was very... Well, it wasn't just... It felt like a shonen, but it felt like an older shonen. It felt like...
You kind of say it felt like a shonen about everything.
But that's what it is. Like,
Kingdom Hearts
is the most... Kingdom Hearts is the most shonen, though. It's like, the girls are out of the way for Sora to save the day a lot, but Sora is not... He's not cruel or anything, he's just really happy-go-lucky. He's literally gone. And... from Hunter x Hunter, so... It's like, Kingdom Hearts is the most shonen.
Anime game... This is the takeaway from Dead Runner Chronicles. Anime games are all shonen. Trails in the Sky, it's Naruto. Kingdom Hearts 2, it's Hunter x Hunter. Just go for it.
Well, like... I mean...
I spent most of my life watching shonens, so I always go to shonens first.
I mean, like... With Kingdom Hearts, it's worth noting, it's not just shonen, it's also Disney, which is the American version of shonen to a greater or lesser degree. And I think, like, this game really shows the trap that creates, in that they got to put so much very, very normative stuff in there just to evoke the things that the intellectual property, the copyrights that they're trying to evoke, that there isn't a lot of room left for the stuff that isn't cynical, and it's always when Kingdom Hearts is less cynical that it thrives. And where it gets creative with the Disney stuff, Timeless River, the Castle Disney, I think it's a much livelier affair. But yeah, the Pirates of the Caribbean bit is the most lifeless thing. And
but wait, the undead, they don't feel anything. They're just like nobodies.
It's just, it's just mechanically a pain, and
they're a mechanical pain. I won't deny that, but also like they aren't just. They're like the nobodies. They're the inverse of nobodies. They are all emotion and no flesh and blood. Like they're more heartless than anything. They would have fit better in like Kingdom Hearts 1 when nobody.
That's true. They're more heartless. Well, no, I don't know. It's weird because Heartless don't. Besides Xenoheart's Heartless, they never really seem to have any like active thought besides the most primal. Well, the pirates, they're trying to get their bodies back, and that's the exact arc of the nobodies too. They're just trying to go back to normal. At least all of them except Xenoheart.
Oh yeah. Do you want to know the secret behind Xehanort?
Or Xemnas, I mean. Sure. What's the secret behind him?
I would love to.
Xehanort.
Please unpack this character for me.
No,
Ansem, also called Ansem.
Xehanort is a nobody anagram, aka an anagram with an X added in, of no heart.
What?
Oh god damn it! I missed that one. It's also an anagram of a throne.
So what? So is he supposed to be just like the ultimate Heartless, the Heartless Jesus or something?
No. God. Let's go look this up. Fucking Xehanort. That's one of my auto-suggestion fucking things. Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, you'd have to Google him a lot to figure out the lore that Birth by Sleep adds to the character of Xehanort.
I really do not like how Xehanort is Ansem in the first game, and then he's also Xemnas as a nobody. Like, that's actually too many names, and they don't do anything. There's actually no point to that. Like, this is Blaze Blue level of no point to these multiple identities.
Well, also, like, the Xehanort that's in this is not the same Xehanort that is the actual Xehanort.
It's
who's going to be the main villain.
The Xehanort that was Ansem, who's not actually Ansem either, he's just Xehanort called Ansem.
Xehanort was an apprentice of Ansem the Wise and the original persona of Ansem and Xemnas.
Oh, so there's another person named Xemnas who's older.
That's the villain of Kingdom Hearts 1, isn't it?
The villain of Kingdom Hearts 1... Wait, is he?
The villain of Kingdom Hearts 1 is the nobody of...
No, the Heartless.
Sorry, Heartless of this character that we're talking about.
Yes.
Who I'm sure is actually, if you dig into the Birth by Sleep lore, not directly related to the Xehanort that's in Birth by Sleep.
Xehanort was an apprentice of Ansem the Wise. He was originally born as Terra Xehanort when Master Xehanort forced his heart into the body of Terra.
Right, yes, thank you. That's the detail I was looking
for. He's like Riku as Xehanort as well, but Terra Xehanort.
Yeah, that's literally his name, is Terra Xehanort, because he's Xehanort in Terra's body.
What the fuck?
This is the problem. Like, at some point, if you keep doing, well, this character has a duel, and this character has a duel, and this character has a duel, you end up with characters who are duels of duels of duels, and nobody can tell who anyone is.
Nomura has like his own AUs. He writes Kingdom Hearts AUs.
Yes, Kingdom Hearts is Homestuck.
Kingdom Hearts is Homestuck.
And Star Wars.
Yeah.
See, this would annoy most people, but actually, this makes me want to play the other games more. I'm just like, how far does this rabbit hole go?
I really want you to play Birth by Sleep and then explain it to me, because I can't play it myself, because I'm shit at that game.
Similar to the Organization 13's members, Xehanort's name contains the letter X, along with anagrams for no heart, a throne, and another.
God fucking damn it. I mean, some writer earned a paycheck on that one, but Christ alive.
Fucking Nomura! Come on!
And my favorite characters in Kingdom Hearts 2, besides Riku, because Riku is always my favorite character, were it was actually Xemnas and Ansem and Mickey were actually like the most interesting to me, because nothing else was interesting at all in the whole game. And Mickey, of course, he's not interesting. He's like he's Yoda, but he's Mickey.
Well, he's Yoda,
out.
except that also at points he's Luke. Because you also meet his master, and there's all this stuff with his training with his master.
Also, Mickey is in Birth by Sleep as definitely Luke.
Well, Birth by Sleep's a prequel, so
yeah.
I don't want to make fun of the fundamentals of Kingdom Hearts, but like Mickey being like the most wise, all powerful key bearer, just always like this doesn't. I don't think it works. It just never worked for me.
Pete, what? I thought the king banished you to another dimension years ago.
Me?
But
I banished you to another dimension. Yeah, that happens.
Like early on too. That's like the first That's like the first time you meet Pete. He's just like, oh.
That's the first story you get about Mickey in Kingdom Hearts 2 is that he could banish people to other dimensions.
well, like, isn't there a reading of Kingdom Hearts where it's all basically like a solipsistic thing revolving around Mickey, where he basically created all the problems as well as some of the solutions? I'm sure I saw like Vincent Kinnian talking about this or something.
That sounds like Grimm's. Sorry, I call him by his last name.
I haven't seen enough Birth by Sleep and other associated properties to figure out what Mickey's on. I like Mickey in Birth by Sleep in his appearances in that, where he's less certain of everything, where he's much more the apprentice. Like, I think that's a better role.
That'd be interesting.
Like, Mickey Mouse as the mystic hero who comes in and saves the day is great comedy, but I suppose it works in some contexts and not others. Because I remember
it's like the Mickey comics, which are like UK only. But I don't know. Like Mickey's always been. Now I'm talking about the personality of Mickey Mouse. But Mickey's always been like, he's like casual comedic. He has levity to him. Like he is really confident and sure of what he's doing, but he's also like, it's fun. He's having fun. But this Mickey, he's so super self-serious. He's like,
I love it.
I'm like, this isn't Mickey. This is just some guy who looks like Mickey. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Mickey,
well, also,
where did you get a nobody? Ah!
Does Mickey have a nobody?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, good.
I mean, he dresses in an Organization 13 robe through this game.
Yeah,
and by the way, do you remember us having an argument about whether his hood had holes for ears or ear covers?
I think it has ear covers. I don't remember.
I checked the model very carefully. He has a hood with fitted ear covers.
Nice!
It's incredible that he can somehow remove himself. Like, he takes that hood off at a point in the game. But, like, Mickey having that cloak is great. And I kind of feel like, I'm realising as we're talking about this, I feel very differently about all the stuff that happens in Hollow Bastion as against almost the entire rest of the game. Everything that happens in Hollow Bastion is great, even when I can't follow it. Because it's in that setting that's Kingdom Hearts original, it's just so much less jarring against the Disney stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
And like, you have Unariku and Pain from 10-2 as fairies, which is the best thing. And you have the catching up with the FF7 and FF8 characters from the first game and how they've progressed in their just slow adult growth kind of ways, because they're not the same as they were, and they look different. They're fundamentally the same people, but just that little bit more comfortable in themselves, and that's great. Except maybe for the bit where Tifa is now Amy Rose, which was
punch the wall to figure out how to get over. Let's see if it'll open if I punch it.
Oh god! Yeah. Also, the bits where she just punches everything is great. The bits where she's Amy Rose were a bit weird. But the Kingdom Hearts 2 version of Hollow Bastion / Radiant Garden, it looks great. It's a great sense of space. You've got the Thousand Heartless battle.
There's no platforms to fall off of into different maps,
except in the underground bit.
The Cavern of Remembrance is a Final Mix edition and completely optional. It's where you go to fight the super bosses. So
yes, and also to get some puzzle pieces, which I did. But I liked most of Cavern of Remembrance. It's just that first cavern with the cars. Those cars are a pain.
Those cars will fuck you up.
They really will.
Merciless vehicular homicide on Sora.
Yes, they were bad enough in the Timeless River Zone where they appear, but there are so many of them in the first area of Cavern of Remembrance.
And they all have their like damage and HP jacked up because of the battle level scaling. That is just rude.
I mean, like, the Steam Rooms bit of Cavern of Remembrance, I actually really liked. I thought that was the bit where I felt that the game was closest to being the kind of action game that I enjoy, because it's as much about navigating the hazards as it is about fighting things. And what you basically do is you use fighting things as a way to hover above hazards, or like avoid being thrown off ledges by conveyor belts and stuff. I enjoyed that section. But yeah, Hollow Bastion, if the game was more like Hollow Bastion and less like The Land of Dragons or Agrabah, I would be much more on board.
You don't like riding a carpet?
Oh, yeah. The carpet section was bad.
Yep.
You cannot tell me the carpet section was good.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. I don't even know why I was in the game. Although when it was in, like, I like that it was in the game, but maybe not actually. Maybe it was better when you were Sora Riku flying on a motorbike. That was better. Or hover, whatever it was.
Like, I understand completely why it's in the game. I think they didn't go the right way about it. Like, if it had been more minigame-ish and less Kingdom Hearts combat on a flying carpet, I think it would have worked better.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
hate all of those things that take away your drive and summons. Like, why you can't even... Okay, leveling up drives is already hard as it is without grinding, but half the levels in the game, you can't even use the drives. Half the set pieces, they're just like, nah, you just can't use them. And it's just like, what? Why? You can it takes so long to charge up drive in the first place. You can there's rarely a good moment to use drive, let alone let alone I'm able to use it, and they frequently strip me of it, and I was frustrated because I like drive more than normal Sora.
You see, most of my experiences with Drive came from specifically grinding it at the end of the game to get the max level movement abilities. And grinding it's fun because you can do the trick where you go back to a save point and
Warp out to the world map.
Warp out to the world, and it just refills your drive gauge. So I was just spending like 40 minutes in drive gauge constantly, just wrecking shit, and that was fun.
Trying to drive as much as I can. I got them all about level 4. And that's not all the abilities. I think they cap at 7, right?
7, yeah.
So yeah, I didn't even get to see whatever master drive you get from maxing out.
Yeah, whatever it is. Like this.
Oh, final form, final drive.
Final form.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, final form.
I got master, but not final.
Yeah, like final form takes a long time to unlock. I basically got all other forms to master before to max level before I got it, and then a level or 2 from the end of maxing Wisdom Form, which Wisdom Form is the worst form, except Anti-Form. Anti-Form can just die.
I like Anti-Form is dumb. Anti-Form has cool narrative implications, like wow, Sora stole his darkness, but he doesn't talk about it. But actually, no, it's terrible because you'll be in the middle of a boss fight and you turn into a completely useless form that you can't revert out of. So yeah, Anti-Form.
You can't revert out
good
of
on paper.
And it's also
good on paper, but not fun to play.
It's also resistant to the recovery trick, the save warp trick, because if you go into a room with a save warp, you drop out of anti-form, whereas you stay in all the other forms when you go into peaceful areas, which meant when you were grinding forms, oh god. But it only happened a couple of times. And yeah, like, if they actually built up to anti-form being a thing, it would be great, but they don't. And then Sorry, go on.
I was just reflecting, I used a magic build and the game didn't like using magic again. There was a problem with Kingdom Hearts 1 where you had this magic and it just wasn't as good as physical. I countered that again. But I still, Wisdom Form and Master Form at least made magic not, useless, so I could actually use it and that was fun. But
I mean, I tend to stay away from magic builds in games, so I didn't really hit that problem, but
Then I specifically advised against doing anything but getting more strength, because...
Well, I got the shield still, but I was just it's pretty... casting Thunder would end fights faster than me trying to hit X, so I just... I would turn to Master Form, spam Thunder, and finish fights in 20 seconds. It wasn't very good versus bosses, though.
Yeah. High-powered Thunder, when you're in Wisdom Form for grinding, feels great. You just hit this button and everything explodes.
Yeah.
There's still something really satisfying about the explosion of money and MP and drive spheres and stuff that you get when an enemy explodes in Kingdom Hearts. That feels good, particularly if you've been in a really long fight where you've just been grinding down several enemies and then they all go at once and it's just stuff everywhere.
If you are grinding Master Form, one of the best things you can do is to there's a room in Yensid's tower where you can just go and fight a bunch of nobodies that drop a lot of money. Then because Master Form levels up with drive orbs, what you do is you put on a Keyblade that makes dropped money turn into drive orbs. Then you play their minigame a bunch, and you get a zillion drive orbs. And it's just this tiny explosion of little yellow orbs every time.
Yeah, I mean, Beast Castle's pretty good for that. I did most of my my Master Form leveling in Beast Castle, and it's just everything explodes everywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Um,
but like I leveled stuff to max like twice, so I probably could have advised you on leveling stuff up. And it would have been
yeah,
over in like 15 minutes. Like, it's really quick.
yeah. I looked up some guides, but one of the guides was particularly for Wisdom Form was just bad. It was like go to Halloween Town and do some shit around the second save point in Halloween Town, and it was terrible.
Just kill all the Heartless, and you'll level up. That's my guide.
That-
Leveling up Wisdom Form is bad too, just because it takes so long. It's 1-to-1, one kill for XP. It's just like that's not.
That's why the speedrun tactic is what I use, because I just get a lot of stuff out of the way immediately. Like Wisdom Form, you just go into Agrabah, and there's a thing where you can just use like Reflect on a swarm of those tiny little ice cube Heartless, and you just get a shit ton of experience. Like I used Reflect like twice and got level 2 Wisdom Form.
There's a good place in Timeless River for Wisdom Form as well. One of the Mickey's house room
Yeah.
is just like entry level Heartless, and it's really small, so you can get them all with the lightning, which is where I finished it off. But yeah, like the forms thing I found really frustrating, because the bit of the game that was really appealing to me was I want to go jump around in Hollow Bastion and get all the puzzle pieces, and all the movement abilities are really heavily gated because they're tied to leveling the drive forms, and all the drive forms have level caps for you can't go past this level until you've got the later drive form, for which you have to complete more plot. And like when you've got all the movement abilities, movement in Kingdom Hearts feels great. You can jump and float and dash all over the place. But I wish they'd been in from the start. To me personally, it feels like a really weird choice that it's the movement abilities that get locked away.
I didn't really get them. I had the not dodge roll but the hop, and that's like all I got from Wisdom Form.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not really a great choice either. Those, like when you get the drive form, I think you should get the associated abilities if you want to do it like that. But it's just not real. It's not realistic to level them up all the way. Like that's what I was complaining about. So yeah, it's not good to lock them.
Yeah, and like I think Kingdom Hearts is not a game about movement, really. Like you have to do a certain amount of movement, but particularly KH2, it's not about dodging. You're supposed to guard and be prepared and stuff. And I'm really.
Once I got the dodge, that wasn't my experience, because it was a lot easier to disengage than it was to try to parry, because it's frustrating, super small timing.
I found it was tighter to dodge, to be honest, particularly once you get to bosses that are teleporting everywhere.
Also, Leroy didn't actually have the dodge; he had the quick run, because the dodge wasn't in the original game; it was added in.
I didn't have the dodge roll. I had the leaf,
the quick run
dash thing.
Final mix.
Yeah, they're both in, and if you equip both, I'm not sure how it prioritizes which one you do.
If you hold it down, it does the quick run. If you tap it, it's dodge.
Right. Okay. Like I think my ordinary button press is kind of halfway between a tap and a hold.
Yeah.
So I got quite inconsistent results, but like also I just don't have the reflexes to play this game most of the time, which is a problem because it's the actual attack windows feel really tight to me on the set piece fights. So I felt like I couldn't really get the hang of how to play it properly.
Oh, you mean like how long they're open to be attacked?
Yeah, like when there's a break in you're needing to defend and dodge that is long enough for you to get an attack in. Like I really struggle with kind of reading the animations well enough.
That is also when my magic build came more in handy, because those fights I chose not to engage because too frustrating. I just casted Thunder.
Could work, I suppose.
That's actually like a frustrating choice in an action game, to make it so when enemies are completely invincible to your attacks. And besides this opening frame, like I think Kingdom Hearts overuses those kind of fights.
I mean,
like, I appreciate 1 or 2 in the length of entire game. Kingdom Hearts like 10.
Yeah, I mean there are times where it's kind of structurally like a bullet hell. Like it's much more about, okay, handle this attack phase, and then see if you can do something. Particularly the sniper boss is very like that. And
Yeah,
I
it's
just
when you said bullet hell, that's the only one that counted as a bullet hell to me.
yeah, I mean that one is much more literally a bullet hell, but
Yes.
the sense of there being this like
I'm trying to remember
most
his
of it
name.
is-
Oh, I got it. It's Zigbar. Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
yes, who is also he's also the point at which I got completely walled in Birth by Sleep because he's in that.
And he's
Excuse
also
me,
the least.
that's Brig, not Zigbar.
But they just fucking say mechanics.
He's also like the least essential nobody because he doesn't do anything except when you counter him there, despite being like the number 2.
Yeah, I mean he looks cool.
Yeah, he looks cool.
But-
Luxord is the best.
He looks like.
God.
Wait, who's the best?
Luxord.
Oh, who's that? I don't even know.
The card
That's
guy.
the dice guy.
Oh, that fight was so weird.
I just that was the fight where I gave up on action commands completely because I found that if I pressed triangle at any point, bad things happened to me. The style of action.
I like that
Sorry.
fight. That was like
Just-
probably my favorite fights. Just 'cause it's ridiculous.
The style of action command where you press triangle and it goes into a weird menu mode where you have to select the right option.
Yeah, but you have to do
Oh,
it fast enough.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Actually, it's pretty
Actually-
lenient.
I wasn't very good at it. I didn't bother with that much either. I usually got it wrong on purpose, just to go. Because if you do the action command, it cancels out his next attack, which you need to do. But if you miss the action command, it's not a big deal.
Well,
so-
except where it turns you into a card or a dice, and then you can't
Yeah.
do anything for 2 minutes where he just kicks you.
Yeah,
The dice,
Fun,
you can jump
fun
around.
fact about that is those transformations run off your drive gauge. So if you have form boost on, it lasts longer.
Oh god.
it doesn't count my sub weapons though, right?
Hmm?
It wouldn't count my sub weapons, right?
Yeah, no, not if
Yeah,
it's
'cause that's-
on an
that's-
offhand.
That's where I always put Oathkeeper, so I could have form boost.
Oh,
No,
man.
it's just yeah. But if you had one equipped as a skill, nope, that's taken 1.5 times as long.
Nice.
That probably affected me. Yep.
Honestly, when I turned to the card, I was still hitting him. Like I was actually like dodging his attacks and hitting him still. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll turn to a card."
Oh dear. So yeah, but I mean, there again, I mean, it's not bullet hell in the same sense, like in the same literal sense as Zigbar, but
It's more like-
um,
It's like old platformer where you can only hit them after they do their attack, basically.
yeah, I guess, yeah, that's fair. Like there's but old platformers there'd be a much bigger window. Well, a
No,
certain
it's just you don't
vintage
need to
of
attack.
platformers.
You don't need to attack as much, basically. Like
Yeah.
it's short as relative to your jumping on them one time.
Yeah, but it's identifying those pauses, because usually, particularly towards the end of the game, it feels like you have to know that the pause is coming. Like you know that once you've completed your last dodge, even though there's still big animation things going on, that's when you need to be moving and getting your attack in. And I'm too busy panicking at that point. By the time I calm down again, the window is closed.
I mean, a lot of action games still like use those windows as like points of vulnerability, but like in a platinum game, you can still hit the boss while they're attacking too, and you can do things. And that was just what I found frustrating about Kingdom Hearts is that you're like the most like this is actually the gimmick of the boss though, but like the berserking boss, like you literally could not harm him until he was vulnerable, or you do the action command, and I was just like, this is kind of too much.
Yeah, and
Which-
meanwhile, with like you're thinking of Sykes, the
Yeah.
blue-haired guy with the moon.
Yeah.
He's the fucking werewolf. He gets mad at the moon, and beats the shit out of you. I don't know.
I
if he's
barely
actually-
remember that fight.
I think I could praise the action design of this game just because it's I talked about how the random battles being really easy, but you're not often doing random battles. You're usually doing some like weird timed battle or survive this or like it swaps set pieces constantly to be reactive to the scenario. I enjoyed that a lot, but the problem is that the scenarios were never very interesting because it was Disney. But and the bosses always have like this their set piece thing, like you have to. The one boss where you have to collect the cursed doubloons so you can stop it from being an undead Heartless to a normal Heartless.
I
that was
kind of like that
ridiculous.
one,
But
but
yeah, it was fun. It was
I like that one because I could tell what was going on.
it was like a
like
good change up.
It tells you that one communicates quite clearly what's going on. I think.
Yeah,
But
but all I
mostly
mean
because
is
shit's flying everywhere.
like it even has like a whole monster hunter giant dragon that you can only hit sometimes, which is actually one of the worst bosses. But that happens in the Mulan places, and like there's a lot of rarity in Kingdom Hearts 2, which keeps it fun, even if you find it kind of easy, like me.
Yeah, I mean, like when there's a reaction command that you can get, I think they feel great. It's just I'm really bad at the ones that aren't literally just press triangle as an obvious moment where you're going to do a reaction command. I couldn't get because I'm a schlub. But like that dragon in the Mulan, like where the action command is, it's doing a low attack, so you slide underneath it. It's like, oh, I can see what's coming. I'll hit the button, and I'll hit the button again, and bam. That feels good, and that's a good way to use it. But so many of the reaction commands require more thought than that. I was just like, I can't think about this while also worrying about everything else on screen.
I'm glad reaction commands are out, honestly. They're more of a hassle than like I want to just like play the action game. I don't want to have to exploit an opening like that. Like I want to be able to exploit the opening. I don't want it to have the exploit opening button pop up,
Well, that again is you liking the really, really hard games.
Yeah, but there still felt like a disconnect on the systems. They're not always the same. They're like just like when it works on a puzzle, it works on the puzzle bosses, but it doesn't really work on the dual bosses, where it just like it feels like it's getting in the way.
Yeah, I mean, because my take on the reaction commands is like, yes, give me a button that I can press to win the fight. That's great, because then I'll actually get through the sodding things.
Well, I like QTE breaks, right? That's still fun to me, but it's just I don't feel like they're coupled very well.
I mean, I enjoyed the reaction command in the very first Nobody fight, where it allows you to basically get an infinite combo going, because that's a really simple one, and it felt like that. If that had been the paradigm for them, where like, oh, you can hit it to dodge, or just simply respond to a straightforward thing that you can see coming because the prompt goes up, that'd be fine. And they don't have to be like battle winning. They just have to
I thought they were going to be like that too, or that's the impression you get, because that's pretty fun. But now they just turn out to be like, do an instant kill special move.
Except that they never instant kill, because like
against normal enemies.
Some of them it's even hard to tell what they do though. If you don't get them properly right, it's like, what did that achieve? A lot of the problem I have with this game though is that I can't tell what anything does in terms of its actual effect in combat. Like I can read a description in the manual or the tutorial, and like it won't stick until I've seen it in action, but I won't see it in action because I can't do it.
Well, I'm tired of talking about Kingdom Hearts now.
That was abrupt.
Anyone else? Does anyone else have anything?
I guess like the last thing to pull all the various things I've been pointing to together about this game.
I think we should end on something more interesting than griping about the combat, though. But I don't have anything.
Well, I mean, this thing about the kind of adolescence and becoming part of the world and the combat being more... I think the word Devin used was crisp or precise or tangible, I think. All of those things pull together into...
It feels really good. I never said that because I was too busy niggling on it. Like, it actually feels good to play.
And it feels...
The X combos do, at least.
Yeah, it feels very... I think tangible is the best word. And that serves this idea of, as the characters are growing up, they're becoming more responsive to the world. So it feels less dreamlike, more solid. The problem is that narratively, so much the middle of the game is still mired in the most simplistic version of Disney childishness. And in some ways, is that the best bits in the middle of the game are when it gets away from its tangibility into particularly Timeless River, where like Timeless River is a really visually striking moment when you first get there, and it's audio. It's a striking moment as well. But it grated on my nerves quite badly.
In my opinion, there are two parts of the Disney content that reflect on subtext or wider themes in the game. And the first is piggybacking on what you're saying about how it's kind of like adolescence or growing up, where it's more like inhabiting, right? It's like continuing this life you had. And when you go back to places, like the weirder story arcs, like Halloween Town and Agrabah, they're not very good. But these characters are still living in their worlds, and they're not bound to their movie anymore, and they're just like existing as people. And then Sora comes in existing as a whole person, and then he interacts with them like on normal terms, and it's not very interesting to play, but it does couple with those themes. And then the second is like I'm reaching, but it's when you have to. This is when I didn't like the game anymore. Is when I had to go back to all the levels again to do something that I didn't do before. I wish I did that the first time around instead of a second time around.
I mean, I got really confused about kind of the way the game's progression was structured, and so I did do some of those back to back.
Oh, you could?
Some of them you can. It did the unlocks aren't completely regimented, and particularly like Pride Lands I did all in one go, which was a mistake because Pride Lands kind of grated.
Too.
Like I liked being in The Lion King. It's still like as far as Disney films go, it's the one that is most resonant with my childhood. But it was kind of harsh on Simba. I felt that particular story arc was like, be nicer to Simba, guys.
That didn't really seem like Simba either. That seemed like a Final Fantasy protagonist. When I got there, I was just like, this guy he's not here. He's not doing anything. I don't know. I kind of liked it, but then I don't really have an attachment to Simba.
Yeah, I mean, like I haven't seen Lion King 2, so maybe like Lion King 2
probably has nothing to do with
that.
This
has an entirely different protagonist.
Yeah.
Really?
I've never seen it either, but probably those are made by like Disney B teams, like interns and stuff. They're just really weird.
Like what would you hear? Like what would your first reaction be to Hamlet 2? Because that's basically what it is.
Mulan 2, like Mushu is the villain. He's like chaotic evil, and he's trying to ruin Mulan's life. And it's just like, what is
fucking Red Dragons? Of course, he's a chaotic evil. God damn it!
I mean, like
ridiculous though. It doesn't make sense.
Specifically on the topic of Hamlet 2, one of Terry Pratchett's sub-series of the Discworld novels is basically that, and it's great. But I can't imagine Disney doing that.
Oh yeah, Shakespeare's understudy wrote Hamlet 2. Let's watch that.
Yeah, I mean, Devin's saying, like, Lion King's essentially Hamlet, so why would there be a Hamlet 2?
Yeah. But, like...
Oh, but what I was saying is, like you fix these problems, but you come back and there's still problems, like, in it, like, weirdly. And that means, like, people aren't perfect, and, like, stuff still will go wrong, and Sora can't do everything by himself. And it's not really strong in the game. Like the friendship plotline doesn't even seem to take over, but it kind of shows that Riku or Sora is he can't. Well, like I said, he can't do everything by himself. He's being stretched thin, but he's still Sora, so it's not very interesting.
And I guess when you put it like that, like it being a little bit more muddled would play into that as well. Like the fact that not all the stories are neat arcs.
Yeah.
That have the perfect beat in the middle for each. Because I kind of felt like the first half of a lot of the Disney worlds was very incomplete, and I think that works with what you're saying. And yeah, the fact that you have to go back to these places and things aren't perfectly resolved, and there aren't happily ever afters. Except that there are in the end credits sequence, which is less good. But like
until Kingdom Hearts 3, you go back to Agrabah again.
Oh god,
sorry.
Fucking free flow fighting Jafar the genie.
Yeah.
You'll be an extra boss. Bonus content fight Jafar. Okay.
Possibly. I don't know.
I'm just laughing at the concept of Jafar being fan service. Like, that's stupid. Okay.
You'll fight the parrot.
Iago is cool. Don't hurt Iago.
Poor Iago. Dear.
I liked the nobodies, but I don't think they were treated very sympathetically. Like, all the nobodies except Xemnas were like really remorseful, and they didn't feel like they were dealt fairly in life. Basically,
yeah,
they're trying to come up from that.
The nobodies in KH2 leave me really sad because the nobodies in Chain of Memories are all really vibrant, and like a lot of that is to do with Larxene being there, and I love Larxene. But
I think those are different sects too, because the Chain of Memories ones were like explicitly nobodies that were done working with Xemnas, and the nobodies in Kingdom Hearts 2 were the ones who were still with Xemnas. So
Yeah,
they were different by like nature.
And in Days, it's revealed that like all the people who got sent to Castle of Oblivion were basically getting demoted. So like they weren't.
And also they kind of turned traitor.
Yeah, like but they're related, obviously.
Yeah.
So they're more rebellious to their nature as nobodies. Like they've embraced it, accepted it. They're not like brooding about it still, because they're not trying to fix their problem really, or they might be, but they're trying to take control over their lives basically.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of feel like the big problem with the nobodies is still that, and they're supposed to not have hearts, but they all very clearly have everything, do everything that a heart is supposed to be required for in terms of emoting and having bonds and loyalties and things. So I'm not sure what difference it's supposed to have made.
I think it's supposed to like make it more unsure, like you question it. Like Xemnas has a speech at the end about how come I'm not getting any sympathy for my problems? But then Riku just calls him essentially stupid. Like I think that's even the word he uses. He's like, you don't have a heart, you don't get to have those things. And then instead of reflecting on that, Xemnas just goes, haha, you're right. I almost tricked you guys. I'm just what? And so yeah, I don't really know what they were trying to do with nobodies or what they even accomplished.
Well, I think like it's definitely a divergence between what they were trying to do and what they accomplished, because like it's a group of interesting characters. And this idea, maybe that they ought to be treated with more sympathy than the main characters maybe regard them with, is interesting. Particularly when you factor in like the actual Ansem the Wise, who basically turns up and goes, "Fuck you guys, your plan is a terrible idea, and I'm just going to sabotage it with my seriously ill-conceived shoot the moon device.
I'm going to
vacuum up the
Kingdom
moon.
Hearts into data. That's how this works. It will go away after that.
Yeah, I mean the
Cut
invocation
and paste, not copy.
the invocation of data as a concept in this is so ham-handed, but like it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter that it's just a background thing of like, oh, this is a game coming out on the cusp of the cyber age, so it's got random
technobabble
illusion. It's got random matrix bits in it.
Part of restoring Sora's heart was putting the data of Roxas into Sora. That was something that happened. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, with the help of Naminé, the memory witch. Which
like,
no other witches fucking exist for some reason until Birth by Sleep when they show up in like Snow White. But
Maleficent could be argued as a witch, I guess.
They never call her a witch though.
No, they never call her a witch.
I still don't understand why Maleficent is in this franchise at all.
I don't know why she's in
because
this
it
game.
spawned from the first one, and they needed an actually threatening villain, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Maleficent just kind of she's like very evil, so she can come back." Like that wasn't enough to keep her down.
She's so evil she can come back to life.
Yeah, I guess like they kind of went. The fairy godmothers all mentioned that like we need to not remember this or she'll come back. Like I guess she thrives as long as someone remembers that she exists, which is kind of like weird witchy power.
I get it, but it's like Pete was fine. I don't two of them. And Pete wasn't even fine. Pete's better.
I don't really know why we need Pete even. I don't really know why Kingdom Hearts 1 needed Maleficent.
I think
it wasn't just Maleficent. Like she was just it was just the Hall of Bastion. Yeah, it was just like the Shadow Council.
Yeah.
Well, she's the leader of
the Disney villains.
she was like I suppose the mastermind behind the whole Door to Darkness thing, and I guess they held it at her house. So she's like the event planner for the Shadow Council's dastardly deeds.
Well, she's also in the first game. She's very clearly the leader of the Shadow Council. Like they have these meetings, and she kind of talks to each member individually. They all answer to her, and I guess that was kind of effective. But also, like the Kingdom Hearts 1 Ansem or Xemnas or whoever it was is actually a really sinister villain. Why do we also need a Disney?
You only see him at like the very end, though.
But why don't they just make him a bigger part of the game? I mean, like, sorry, I'm now just asking snipey questions, which is not good practice.
It's probably a sign that we need to end the episode, really, because now we're nitpicking the nitpicking the nitpicking. It's just
And there are so many nits we could pick that even that are more interesting
13
than
of them.
why is Millennium. It's probably more than that.
The most generous thing you can say about nobodies is they represent nihilism, and that nihilism is not good or evil, but it's just a factor that if it comes onto you, you're reciting in nothingness is not reciting in positivity or negativity. You're just there, and that's almost complicated, but it's undermined. That's all I gotta say.
It's undermined by Axel being so fabulous.
Axel's awesome.
I love Axel. He's great. I don't love him quite as much as Laxine, but like they're great. I love those two.
That's why VGK wrote about absurdism in context of the nobodies, but it only works sometimes. It doesn't work most of the time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Kingdom Hearts 2.
And we got no questions. Because
Damn it! Send us questions!
Because apparently asking two people who had never played Kingdom Hearts 2 about their thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 2 in more specific terms than what do you think about Kingdom Hearts 2 is not interesting to people. What's wrong with you? Whatever.
I asked the best question, though. I got my answer. So this is my Sanctuary is the best song.
Yeah.
But it's not the best movie.
No,
That wasn't the question, though. So.
Well, my question would have been, what's the best movie? Also, please explain the lore to me.
When I read all the answer reports, but they're not actually worth explaining this time.
No. Well, they give you such a small piece of the picture.
Yeah. And they're part of a picture that you're already going to see most of in the story for once. And,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us for this episode of DGC. Next month's game is Final Fantasy Tactics. Most of us, including the guest that we're having on, are playing the PSP remake, War of the Lions, which has a complete relocalization, rebalancing, new classes, and a new optional character in Balthier from Final Fantasy XII. But Leroy
Weak applause.
But Leroy will be playing the original, so we're going to have that to add to the discussions about the game. Both are available on the North American PlayStation Network for $10, and the War of the Lions is on the European PlayStation Network for the rough regional equivalent. And yes, we'll be having a guest. Look forward to it. The month after that will be Grandia 2. It was a Dreamcast game originally, but it was ported to PS2 and is readily available on Steam for $20 or $10 during most sales. Find our work on our website, jrpgsaredead.fyi, or our Twitter, at jrpgsaredead, or individually at Invisifool, at EatThePen, at WasNotWhyNot. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/deadgenre. There's political skirmishes and Zodiac killing afoot. Join us next time for the 2016 presidential election. Yes, Goodbye. We're going with that episode title.